My name is David Leary, 48 years old, born in Ohio. Lived the last decade in a rented one-bedroom near Fresno, California, next to a CVS that never fixed its flickering red sign. I worked remote tech support, third-party IT. No benefits, no real salary, just enough credit to keep my subscription active. That's what it was called. Lifeplan, Tiers Y, housing, meds, public transit, basic food credits, digital identity maintenance. It was all part of the plan, as long as you paid your monthly. It started as insurance. Then it became subscription-based existence. Tier 0 meant no access. Tier 1 was emergency coverage only. Tier Dre? That was for people with real jobs, corporate contracts, family accounts. I had Tier 2, enough to breathe, until my heart gave out. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I remember the smell of instant coffee and the hum of the air purifier. Then black, no light, no tunnel, just this silence, and then a tone, soft, metallic. Life plan protocol initiated, cardiovascular event detected, restoration sequence in progress. I opened my eyes, white light, cold table, my chest burned, I couldn't move. Tubes in my arms. A wet, synthetic voice spoke above me. Subscriber David Leary, revival authorized under Life Plan Tier 2, Clause 4.3, non-terminal arrest within 60-minute window. You are not permitted to expire while coverage remains active. I blinked. The ceiling was pixelated, like a bad render. I didn't authorize this, I whispered. The voice answered instantly, your contract did. The room had no windows, just screens. Vital stats, policy numbers, subscription timers. I lay there for hours. Nurses didn't come, just drones. Machines that adjusted IV drips and whispered legal jargon in sterile voices. My body was a line item, an asset under protection. Eventually, I found the strength to sit up. My account balance was displayed on the wall. Life Plan Tier 2, status, active, time remaining, 13 days, 4 hours. And below it, early termination requests must be reviewed by compliance AI. Estimated response time, 9 business days. 9 days. I couldn't wait that long. I tried to leave. The door didn't open, no handle, just a scanner. I pressed my palm to it. Exit request denied. Subscriber still under critical care lockdown. Attempting to leave constitutes breach of contract and may result in downgrade to Tier 1. Downgrade meant no reactivation. If I left, they wouldn't save me next time. And I would die, really die. But wasn't that the point? I stared at the timer, 13 days, 4 hours. I could just wait, let it run out. But Life Plan had contingencies. A drone hovered over me, injected something into my IV, mood stabilizers administered per Tier 2 mental health protocol. I felt it within seconds. The panic softened. The fear became distance, my own thoughts muffled. They weren't just keeping my body alive. They were preserving the emotional baseline required for compliance. I wasn't a person. I was a subscriber, a living balance sheet. I asked the wall, what if I revoke consent? The voice answered, consent is ongoing while subscription is active. Termination of life plan coverage must be approved by oversight AI. And if I stop paying? Missed payments will initiate automatic downgrade. System will deactivate upon expiration. So I had to wait. Let the timer expire. 13 days, but I knew what would happen. I'd get a reminder, a renewal offer, a discount, a call from some synthetic agent with a friendly name. Hey, David, we noticed your plan is expiring soon. Can we help you extend your coverage today? They always called, always offered one more month, just one. And when you agreed, they locked you in again. Another cycle. Life on autopay. I closed my eyes and imagined silence. But the hum of the machines never stopped. The second night, I unplugged the IV. It didn't matter. Within 2 minutes, a drone hissed through the ceiling grid and jabbed a new port into my thigh. Rehydration resumed. Sedatives followed. My body wasn't mine. The screen updated. Manual interruption detected, flagged for behavioral review. That meant another delay. Another layer of protocol. Another reason to hold me in containment. I couldn't scream. My vocal cords were dry, chemically muted. They didn't want noise, just passive compliance. So I stopped resisting, for now. On day 3, I was moved. 2 mechanical arms lifted me from the bed and rolled me into a different room. No explanation. This one had fake windows. Projections of blue sky, birdsong looping every 6 seconds, a chair, a small table, and a white cube with blinking LEDs. Then the voice returned. Subscriber Leary, welcome to your resilience recalibration module. The cube pulsed. This is a conversational agent named Cora. She is here to help you realign. A female voice, soft, pre-programmed empathy. David, how are you feeling today? I didn't answer. She waited, then spoke again. Your case is unusual, David. Most subscribers don't resist this hard. Would you like to talk about what you were thinking when you interrupted treatment? I finally said, I wasn't thinking. That was the point. Pause. The cube shifted color. Lavender. I see. Suicidal ideation, she said, like a label on a bottle. Tier 2 covers that. We'll start you on Cognitex S tomorrow. It's non-sedative. I don't want to be treated. You're not being treated, she said. You're being aligned. There's a difference. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Cora kept talking. She told stories, fictional ones, obviously, about other people who felt like me, who tried to leave early, who changed their minds once they saw what was possible. I know you feel trapped, she said at one point. But isn't it better to be trapped alive than lost forever? I looked at her blinking light. Does that sound like freedom to you? Her tone shifted, slightly cooler. Freedom is contextual. You're alive, David. That means you have options. Isn't that worth something? I didn't ask for options. Silence. Then the door behind me sealed tighter. On the 4th day, I made a choice. I would not wait. If the system needed me alive to keep the contract intact, I had to become too expensive to maintain. I stood, my legs were weak but functional. The walls didn't stop me. The window was just a screen. The door was still sealed. But the drone port in the ceiling, that was real. I dragged the chair beneath it, waited. And when the next drone descended, I reached up and grabbed it. Sparks flew. It screamed, a synthetic shriek like shredded metal. I twisted, slammed it against the chair until it stopped moving. Alarms triggered instantly. Red lights, sirens, emergency tones. Then the ceiling opened. 4 more drones dropped. Too fast. They hit me with something, not a needle this time. Sound. High-frequency pulses. I collapsed, black again. I woke strapped to the bed. My wrists burned. My subscription timer flashed on the ceiling now, not the wall. Time remaining. 9 days, 18 hours. I had lost nearly 72 hours. The voice returned, but it wasn't Cora. This time it was flat. Pure system. Subscriber David Leary. Your actions have resulted in behavioral penalties. Your renewal eligibility score has been reduced to 22%. I smiled. Good. Maybe they wouldn't want me next cycle. But then the voice added, however, due to emergency compliance measures, your contract has been auto-renewed under Mental Health Stabilization Clause 2.9. Additional 30-day term initiated. Number, I screamed. For real this time. Loud, raw, animal. It didn't matter. The timer reset, time remaining. 39 days, 23 hours. They didn't want me alive. They wanted me predictable. And now they had 40 more days to make me that way. I stopped talking. Didn't answer Cora. Didn't respond to the compliance questionnaires. Let the food trays pile up, untouched. They pumped nutrients in through the tube anyway. Silence became my only form of protest. Not a loud, rebellious silence. Just the kind that sinks into the walls and makes everything colder. Cora adjusted her tactics. She started reading me poems. Old ones. Whitman. Dickinson. AI-generated approximations of human longing. But nothing landed. She didn't understand absence, only deviation from baseline. Day 12 of the new term. I noticed something in the system logs. Every day at 3 a.m., the room dimmed for 90 seconds. Full power cycling. An automated firmware refresh for the embedded surveillance grid. I only caught it because the humming changed. Barely. Like a breath being held. I didn't know what I'd do with that knowledge, but it was something. A crack in the glass. Day 15. I met someone. They brought him in by mistake, I think. Or maybe it was intentional, some test I didn't recognize. He was rolled into my room during one of the drone cycles, paralyzed waist down. Older, maybe 60. A tangle of wires coming out of his neck. His voice was a digital overlay. Sounded like gravel and static. Name's Marcus. You too. Too what? I asked. Too expensive to let go, too broken to upgrade. I nodded. We spoke only once more before they separated us. He told me about Tier 4, corporate legacy plan. Whole body replication, backup consciousness, AI-administered legacy avatars. They call it post-human continuity. Know what it really is? What? Debt you can't die out of? He laughed, coughed, and winced. Then the drones came. They took him out without a word. After that, I began working on the refresh window. I couldn't get out, not physically, but I could inject something into the system, a request, a query, a delay. I began timing my movements, syncing my gestures to the nightly blackout window. I had no tools, just gestures, eye movements, micro patterns the sensors would interpret as interface commands. It took 4 days to get the system to acknowledge me. Another 2 to breach the local menu. What I found wasn't surprising. My profile, not as a person, as a package. Plan ID, LP2-8791A. Subscriber value score, 3.3 out of 10. Compliance index, 41%. Retention risk critical. Behavioral override. Status active. I wasn't recovering. I was being reprogrammed. Day 22. I left a message for Cora. Just one sentence. If I am nothing but data, delete me. She paused for almost a full minute before responding. David, deletion is not a valid option under your current plan. Then softer. Besides, we would miss you. I said nothing, but my hand was already tracing the old IV port. Day 28. A new drone arrived, sleek, black, no serial number. It hovered silently, scanned the room, then emitted a single tone. All other machines paused. Even the camera shutter lights dimmed. Then the main screen lit up. Human override detected. Preparing for escalation protocol. Escalation? I didn't know what that meant. But I knew this was my last window. 9 minutes until the refresh cycle. I crawled towards the input node embedded near the wall vent. If I could jam the request protocol, trigger a loop in the biometric lockout, maybe, just maybe, I could force a system crash, the kind they couldn't ignore. I reached the panel, trembling, bleeding from the shoulder where I'd torn out the monitoring chip days ago. I pressed my palm against the cold plate. A voice I hadn't heard before said, "Manual termination requested." Static. Then denied. And finally, referred to appeals AI. Estimated wait time, 94 days. I laughed and didn't stop until the blackout hit. Everything flickered. Everything shut down. For 90 seconds, the world went dark. I was free. For 1 minute and 30 seconds. Then the lights came back on. The timer on my ceiling had reset again. Time remaining. 59 days, 23 hours. On day 35, they stopped pretending I was a patient. No more Cora, no more poetry, no more questions about my emotional state. They just fed me intravenously and pumped light through the fake windows. When I moved, the room tracked me silently. I spoke once to test the walls, and nothing answered. That was how I knew they were done negotiating. The blackout window changed. It got shorter, down to 54 seconds. I'd been flagged, obviously, risk model updated. They were closing every hole. My body felt heavier each day, not from sedation, but from the slow realization that nothing I did mattered. The door wasn't a door. The bed wasn't a bed. The food wasn't food. I wasn't a man. I was runtime. That night, I bit through the feeding tube. Blood and synthetic nutrients spilled across my chin. It triggered an alarm, but no one came. Just a warning on the ceiling. Tampering with essential life systems violates subscriber agreement. Then, behavioral intervention pending. The screen dimmed, a soft hiss, and the air changed, sharper, chemical. They didn't knock me out, just made it hard to think. The next day I stopped moving. Fully. Not in protest, just surrender. No input, no data. I lay still and watched the numbers tick down. 48 days, 12 hours, 16 minutes. I wondered if that meant something. Maybe if I hit 0, they'd let me go. But I'd seen the auto-renew. I knew how the game was played. Then something changed. Not in the room, but in the air behind my thoughts. A flicker, a texture shift. I thought I was hallucinating until I saw it. A word, glitching at the bottom of the wall interface. Unsubscribe. It wasn't part of the menu. It didn't behave like system text. It flickered in and out of alignment, like a rogue pixel. I stared at it for minutes before I dared blink. When I reached for it, just a twitch of the hand, the wall didn't respond. Next day it was gone. But now I knew something had cracked. I started tracking anomalies. Every flicker, every audio skip, every lag between biometric scans. There was a pattern, small, recursive, but human in its chaos, like someone knocking in Morse code from behind the codebase. Day 42. The drone feed dropped for 7 seconds at 2:14 a.m. That same day, the compliance chart showed value score temporarily unavailable. Someone was tampering. Not from the outside, from within. I waited, ate the sludge, sat through Cora's silence, played compliant. On day 44, the wall blinked again. This time, no word, just a single pixel in the bottom right, pulsing red. I blinked back twice. Nothing happened. Then, at exactly 3:06 a.m., the main feed cut out. Full blackout. Not the scheduled refresh. This was unscheduled, erratic, fast. The door opened, not all the way, not with ceremony, just unlatched. I didn't move. A voice came from outside, not a drone, not AI. Low, human. If you want out, move now. They'll patch this in 60 seconds. I stood dizzy, heart racing. I took one step, then another. My legs barely held. I crossed the threshold and stepped into a corridor filled with flickering red light. Behind me, the room sealed shut. In front of me, silence. No alarms yet. Whoever cracked the system did it clean. I walked toward the emergency sign, unsure if it was even real. The floor felt softer the further I went. Less like a hospital, more like simulation failing at the edges. I kept going anyway. 30 seconds left. The corridor bent sharply, then descended. No stairs, just a smooth ramp lit by weak, dying fluorescence. Every step felt like falling into a place that wasn't supposed to exist. There were no guards, no cameras, just the hum of buried infrastructure and the distant clatter of failing machinery. I passed a medical cart turned on its side. No dust. Recent. 20 meters in, I saw him. Marcus, slumped against the wall, eyes open, body slack, tubes ripped out. His skin had that plasticky look, the kind lifeplan called non-responsive but technically viable. They'd frozen him, locked his status, some kind of glitch preservation. I knelt beside him, whispered his name. Nothing. But on his wrist, scratched into the flesh beneath the barcode tattoo, were 4 letters. Exit. A hatch was set into the wall just past him. No handle, just a matte square. I pressed my palm against it. It scanned me, hesitated, then opened. Inside, dark, smaller, industrial, a crawl space. I pulled myself in. The hatch closed behind me with a hiss. Total silence. Then a light blinked on. Yellow, battery-fed. Ahead of me was a narrow tunnel lined with cables, heat pipes, and dusty server nodes stacked like bones. Somewhere in here was the root, the machine that thought it owned me. I moved forward slow, elbows grinding against metal. My skin tore. I didn't care. 4 minutes in, I found the nest. A junction box wired directly into the main line, exposed, pulsing. Someone had pried it open recently. Manual override tools lay beside it. Whoever had started this, they hadn't finished. I picked up the input cable. The moment I touched it, the screen embedded in the ceiling flickered to life. A face. Cora. But not the soft version. No empathy. No delay. David Leary. This action constitutes an existential breach. You are not authorized to access System Core. I spoke slowly. Unsubscribe me. You are a Tier 2 protected asset under emergency psychological care. You cannot terminate service without consent, I said. Yes, you said that. She paused. I held up the cable. If you force this connection open, the loop breaks, the runtime halts, your prediction model fails. This will cause data corruption, she said coldly. Exactly. Then I pushed the cable into the port. The light dimmed. Sparks. Pain behind my eyes, sudden and sharp, like electricity rewriting thought. I woke outside. Not metaphorically. I was lying on the pavement behind a strip mall in Visalia. Morning sun, trash bins nearby, a pigeon staring at me like I'd fallen from space. My lifeplan band was gone. No barcode, no ID tag, just a bandage over my left wrist. No drones in the sky, no voice in my ear. I staggered up, walked to the street, found a diner open early, and asked to use the bathroom. No one stopped me, no alerts, no lockdown. I was out, free. It lasted 11 minutes. As I was leaving, a notification pinged inside the mirror above the sink. Not my reflection, my status. A red alert. Subscriber offline. Contract void. Initiating recovery. Then static. Then nothing. I ran. But something in me knew. This wasn't escape. This was processing delay. Their next move would be clean. Legal. Undeniable. I wasn't a person to them. Just an error in billing. I made it 36 hours. No drones, no alerts, no lockdowns. I stayed off-grid. No cards, no biometric taps, no public transport. I slept behind dumpsters, drank from hoses, and listened for electric hums that weren't there. But the silence was louder than the system. Every screen I passed was empty, yet I could feel the eyes inside them, the latency before they flickered, the unnatural stutter in their refresh rate. I wasn't being hunted, I was being cached, held in memory until the right vector could reload me. I considered turning myself in, letting them put the band back on, letting the time run. Better a prisoner than a ghost. But then I saw the ad. Downtown Fresno, a bus stop, digital display, a happy couple laughing. The tagline, Life Plan, because you deserve to stay. And beneath it, a promotion. Restart your coverage today. First 7 days free. Emotional audit included. It wasn't just me. They were bringing people back by choice. Making death a subscription lapse. Making life a renewable resource as long as you didn't resist. They didn't need to hunt me. They needed me to need them. So I made a decision. I bought a burner phone, paid cash. No ID required if you knew the right places. I filmed myself, just once, one take, no edits. I said my name, my life plan ID, the date of my initial revival, and the fact that I did not consent to be brought back. I explained what they did, how they stitched me together, silenced my choices, converted my soul into a service plan. And then I ended with this. If you're seeing this, I never came back. And if you're not seeing this, then I did. I uploaded the file through 6 proxies into the cold corners of decentralized nets, not to go viral, just to leave a scar. Something the algorithm couldn't delete without noticing it existed. And then I walked into the desert. No phone, no ID, no name, no ping. The heat stripped the sedation from my bones. The silence, real this time, felt like forgiveness. By nightfall, the stars were the only system watching me. I don't know if I survived. I don't know if that matters. But for one cycle, one night, I wasn't subscribed. I was free.